our lieutenant governor, hopefully our governor will veto it, but our lieutenant governor ramrodded this bill both through the Texas Senate and the Texas House that made it all illegal, made everything illegal. So all these THC, Delta 8, Delta 9 shops, all the hemp businesses, unless Abbott vetoes it, they're all going to be a crime.
Willie D. Live.
Does the new law, that's the weed law that was passed to ban, what is it? How do you say TH?
Yes, it bans. So
What's it called? TH?
Well,
what?
you got all the THC, but you've got all these
THC,
different
yeah.
variants. So THC itself was already still illegal, right? And people don't realize that the gummies and the oils and the pens, it's still a fucking felony, right? It was only the flower that was a misdemeanor. That's still, but largely not prosecuted, especially here in Houston, Austin, bigger cities. But the way they worked around it was a variety of, you have THCP, THCA, THCD, but Delta 9 and Delta 8 hemp variants, right? Where they would get around the limitations placed on the amount of THC by, putting it in drinks and putting it in gummies and other stuff. But our lieutenant governor, hopefully our governor will veto it, but our lieutenant governor ramrodded this bill both through the Texas Senate and the Texas House that made it all illegal, made everything illegal. So all these THC, Delta 8, Delta 9 shops, all the hemp businesses, unless Abbott vetoes it, they're all going to be a crime, both misdemeanor and felony, depending on the weight and trafficking and stuff. And it's going to be horrible, right? The whole issues that I discuss about cops hassling people, it's now going to be greatly exacerbated across this state. It's just a horrible idea. But yeah, no, if Abbott signs it, and there's some hope, apparently DeSantis refused to sign and vetoed a similar bill in Florida. And this is where the Republicans always lose me, right? Because I am very pro public safety. I am very pro meritocracy and things that I want to talk about on social media. I'm mainly just on Instagram. I get accused of being a Republican a lot. But Republicans fucking lose me. One, they're really just facilitating corporate greed, right? Like this new bigger, better is just for the post-monetary. But also this bullshit theocracy, right? So like here on the state level, our lieutenant governor, who's a fucking asshole, Dan Patrick, and that's not even his real name. Dan Patrick is just his talk radio personality from the 80s.
Didn't that guy used to be on TV in Houston?
He was on talk radio. He bought a talk radio station, and it was the first to bring Rush Limbaugh to Houston.
Was a sports guy.
He might have. I think he might have the sports talk before he did, but that was like the early 80s. But he developed his persona, and then he just became his life. And, I did talk radio for years, me and Zero did talk radio. And, I've seen it. I've seen this kind of dichotomy between the way people present themselves on the radio versus the lives they lead. And it's repugnant. Like I've always decided, I'll just be authentic. People don't like me, I don't give a fuck. That's me. People like me, great. But we have this weed law that is just, if it goes into effect, it's going to destroy a bunch of businesses, and it's gonna raise the amount of negative interactions that we were talking about earlier between law enforcers and regular people. And it's just fucking awful. And the Republicans, they say they act like they're doing it to protect the kids from going to the weed shop. There's already laws against selling it to kids, right? The truth is you have the alcohol lobby, because if you look at states like Colorado, full legalization, California, alcohol sales just plummet, right? Because at the end of the day, weed is so much better for you. Like if you got to do something to take the edge off, weed's the best health outcome-wise.
Well, a lot of people are also using it for pain.
Right. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Not just pain. Cancer patients for appetite, right? And nausea associated with it. They can't take other pain medication. People with severe PTSD. I think there's a lot of people faking PTSD, and there's a lot of fake disabilities out there. But PTSD is a real thing. And there are people that have suffered horrible outcomes, whether they've been to war or been the victims of a horrible crime or something else. that don't want to be on psychotropic and other types of just crazy mood stabilizing drugs that can hit some weed and they're functioning in society. And we both know, I mean, I assume we both know, we know people that smoke too much and it robs them of their drive and motivation. But that's the exception, not the rule. Weed's not a poison. Like I consume THC, I drink it, maybe 2-3 times a week, right? End of the day, or, if I'm going out, because I'm not drinking alcohol. I started drinking alcohol when I was 11 years old. I probably started, I think I smoked weed first when I was 13.
11?
11, I was a bad kid.
Did you get to a point to where you became a drunk?
No. Well, here's my thing. I was a binge drinker. So I always felt this need, especially because, I had my first kid young, that, man.
How young?
I had Madeline when I was 22. Not super young, but young.
Man, I thought you was at 15 or something. I was like,
No,
okay.
thank goodness. But so I was always motivated because I wanted my kids to have stuff I didn't have growing up, and I was always motivated to work hard. My thing with drinking is I could go months without drinking, but if I had one drink, I was going to have 15, right? And I could drink. And, I was not someone, I'm not a bully. Like, I don't get drunk and get in fights. My drinking arc would be cutting up, not worrying about shit, getting late night food, going to sleep. That was it. Like, I would never got in shit as a drunk. I'd never drank. I obviously saw some horrible wrecks from drunk driving as a police officer, but it was just not something I ever did, right? So it was never an issue. But I got to the point where I just would feel miserable, right around 50. So I just stopped drinking. And I had a half a martini last week. Like every 4, 5, 6 months, I might have half a drink or something with somebody if I have a client that wants me to have a drink with them. But it's a poison. Alcohol is a poison. It's horrible for you. Well, I feel so much better. I was tipping in at 335, right? I stopped drinking. That's the only thing I changed. You see, I mean,
Yeah.
I eat.
Hold on, you lost all that weight just not drinking? What?
No, I started working out, stopped drinking. I usually drink like once a week, and I'd drink way too much, and I'd make some horrible food decisions after the fact. Then I felt like shit for 2 or 3 days. Stopped it. I mean, I started, I got my knees all messed up now. I need to get a knee surgery, but I started boxing a lot and working out a lot because I felt better. Weed doesn't do none of that shit, right? Weed is not a poison.